bullpen routines. Whether you don't have one or you're just trying to learn ways to improve your current routine, this is the video for you. I'm going to share how I adopted Roy Halladay's, rest in peace, his bullpen routine and how it changed my career. I'm also going to show you how I learned to get ready as a reliever once I signed with the Cleveland Guardians. Let's get into it. What's good, everybody? It's Percy Garner, former Major League pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians, and I want to help you be the best pitcher you can be. Now, if you learn anything from these videos, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit the 1,000 subscriber marker. And also, I'm trying to be very positive for this video because I just did a whole live stream and a recording of this video and I was muted. And no one in the chat told me I was muted. So thank you to everybody who was watching and didn't tell me I was muted. But anyway, here, we're recording this video. We're talking bullpen routines. And, I want to make sure that I can replicate everything I did in the last recording that you couldn't hear. So bear with me. But I want to make sure, because this is an important episode or important pitching tip video to get out there. And I want to make sure I hit everything that I can that I talked about in the previous video. So remember, on this journey, we must crawl before we walk. And I'm very excited to get into this video. Okay, so let's get into it. I first want to talk about, it's basically going to be 3 tips. But the first one to talk about is prep work and things you kind of do before you even hit the field. Warming up the body, because one thing I've learned once I got the pro ball is you want to warm your body up to throw. You do not want to throw to warm up. It's not as effective, and it just didn't work out for me that way. I know a lot of pitchers, and I know a lot of pitchers that follow this rule. So I would say, do a lot of things, whether that's stretching, calisthenics, doing some active stretching where you're not just standing in a static position and stretching, and then, do some other things that may warm you up. Now, I'm going to share what I did because I had a routine that I built with kind of mixing part of the Philadelphia Phillies and the Cleveland Indians in what they had me doing. So first, I would do arm exercises, and that would be with cuff weights on each wrist, starting from no weight at all the way up to, I think I got up to 7 pounds, and I was using a 5-pound and a 2-pound at the same time. But a lot of those exercises were just working on each shoulder, and I have a video that I may show showing a lot of the exercises that I did perform that would warm me up. After I did all my shoulder exercises, I would get a 10 to 15 minute arm stretch from our athletic trainers, which I know not everybody has access to that, but I'm just going to share my whole routine. So after that arm stretch, I would go and do weighted balls. And the weighted balls, like kind of what I would do during the season, wasn't really to build velocity, but it just made sure I was warm, and I feel like it kept me healthy. So I know there's a lot of stuff out there saying, weighted balls are terrible for your arm, but I threw them, and it kept me, healthy arm-wise, and it got me warm to throw the ball and play with my catch partner. And obviously stretching and stuff like that. So I would go through like the team stretch. And I always like to do active stretch, whether that's, walking while I do certain stretches and doing different calisthenics. I just felt like that actually warmed me up better than just sitting in a static position and doing stretches that way. Now, I figure out once you get a routine and you get set up on what you like to do and you feel good when you're throwing, then kind of just settle in with that and continue to do that. And I think you'll find some success that way. Now, point 2, this is kind of like the throwing routine, and I'm going to show what I'm going to be sharing is kind of like I'm going to be starting and I'm throwing, right before I go in before the game. But this also can translate to bullpen days, or how you would throw going through the throwing program if you're a reliever throwing that day before the game started. So I kind of start out with the staggered drill. You might have seen this Trevor Bauer calls it the pickoff drill, but I do mine's a little different that they taught us with the Indians, and I start that at 45 feet, and it's more just, you know, stagger and throwing, and then I would go to 60 feet, and then I get into my pitching from the stretch routine and like my techniques that I do from there, my pitching mechanics, and I would throw there, working on location already, you know, having my partner have a target up, and then I would go to 90. Once I got back to 90 feet, then I would introduce a curl hop, which basically I would start from the wind up still, and then I would add a curl hop in and throw it and try to hit my partner in whatever he was putting his target, and then I would get up to 120 or whatever your max distance is. I know a lot of, you know, Cliff Lee never went past 120, but I know there's also people that go as far as they can go. So as far as the field will allow you to go. So that's kind of up to you. I've done all of it, but I just really discourage big loopy throws. I feel like once you get out there, you want to be making sure you're putting good effort and intent into each throw you make, and making sure you're still getting it to your partner, you know. And I kind of treat those like I'm throwing someone out at the plate, which we'll get into as well, because, you know, once you start getting back on the way in, so you got to max distance and you're trying to work your way back in, I would work in a lot faster than I worked out. And on the way in, I would be doing pull downs where I'm throwing pretty aggressively, almost like max effort, and I'm trying to get, you know, the ball like I'm throwing someone out. So I don't want to overthrow my partner. I'm trying to get a one hopper if I can't get it to him on the line. And then once I got back up to 60 feet, I would almost maybe either throw a flat ground, go through my pitches, change ups, you know, some breaking balls, and a lot of times my catcher's catching me. So, but you know, once you know you get done with that flat ground with the catcher, then it's time to go to the bullpen, and that's when I knew I was doing something wrong. Once I saw, you know, Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee, and all them, and I would see them throw their bullpens, then I realized, like, oh, okay, I've been doing this wrong my whole career. You know, they would be sweating going into the game. But anyways, let's not get too far ahead. The bullpen. So after I throw my flat ground and do my throwing routine with the catcher or my catch partner, then I would enter the bullpen, and I would always start my bullpen kind of how I start the game, and that's like that 8-pitch warm up that you get before the catcher throws it down and the umpire says it's time to start the game. In that 8 pitches, I would do 2 glove side fastballs, then I would do 2 arm side fastballs, then I would do 2 changeups, and then I would do 1 breaking ball, and then end with a fastball right down the middle that the catcher would throw down to second, and we get the game started. So I started my bullpens the same way. So I would do my 8 pitches, 2 glove side, 2 arm side, changeup, curveball, and then fastball, just throwing a strike down the middle. And then once I did that, that takes care of 8 pitches. The next 10, if I didn't like the breaking ball or the changeup I threw or whatever pitch that I was kind of, you know, out of whack with, I would focus the next 10 pitches on those pitches and making sure I'm throwing them effectively. And then the tail end of the bullpen, I would face the first 3 hitters that I was going to face in that lineup, and whether they were left and right-handed, and I would play it out just like it was a game, except they weren't standing there. And that, you know, reassured me about my game plan, how to attack, and it was also another, like, a visualization thing as well. So I kind of already know the pitches I'm going to throw. Unless you get in the game and you start, you throw 2 balls and it's 2-0, then game plans, you know, kind of change. But it would kind of be like a refresher of the game plan, and it would allow me to kind of relax and already know what I'm throwing in the game and get ready for the game. And once I threw my last pitches again, which would be 30 to 35 pitches, then I would like to get into the dugout and kind of calm down a little bit before I went out to the game to start the game. And that's if you're starting, of course, and if you're the home team. If you're the away team, then you throw a little bit longer because you don't have to go out to the bottom of the inning. But I would like to cool down, catch my breath a little bit before I go into the game. So I'd always head down to the dugout a little early, get some water, and kind of just visualize and think about how I was attacking the three hitters again, and then go out, do my 8-pitch warm-up that the umpire gives you, and then get on to the game. Now, that doesn't have to be like everybody do the same thing. That's just the routine that I adopted, and I took bits and pieces from different pitchers and kind of mixed it in with what I like to do, and that's where I landed. I would encourage you to try different things, but if you feel like you're warm and you're ready to go in the game, then I wouldn't change too many things. I just knew my routine was not that great, so I had to adopt different things. Now, I told you, as a bonus, I would share how I got ready for as a reliever once I joined the Indians, because it was completely different. I had to learn that I could be warm without throwing 20 pitches. I just had to get going. And a lot of times it would take 4 pitches and I'd be warm. A couple times I went into the game with no warm-up pitches. Sometimes it's my fault, sometimes it's just how the game goes. You would always get those 8 warm-up pitches in the game, though. But typically as a pitcher, I would love to be warm and prepared before I'm throwing on the game mound. So, but for the most part, I would just, as soon as they tell me that, they'd call on the radio, the heart starts going, get Percy ready. All right. And then I would do a little quick stretch. And then the first throw, I don't know if the catchers liked it, but I would kind of curl hop from the back of the mound and just unleash, a 100% max effort throw, and hopefully it hit him in the chest. But that was kind of my mind ways to get me to go, hey, you got to get warm. You got to get going. You don't have to labor until you start throwing hard. We're going from go. You should have been up and moving around since the 4th inning, so we had to be ready. And, once I did that one throw, then I would kind of work and make sure my fastball was where I needed it, make sure I could get to both sides of the plate. And then there were times where you didn't have to be in a rush. You would get ready thinking you're in a rush, then they would tell you, okay, go with the game. And then that means, all right, every time he throws 2 pitches, I might throw 1 or something like that, however worked for you. And sometimes that's frustrating. So, you might get told to sit down after you just warmed up and you were all heart was going and you were ready to go in the game. And then you don't have to go in. So I think sometimes it's frustrating, but that's the way the game goes. And then sometimes you got to get back up the next inning and do it all over again. So bullpen and starting are 2 different mindsets, but with the bullpen, throwing a bullpen midweek before your game or no matter where it is, it's important. And you kind of want to have a routine for each role that you are. So figure out what you want to do, but also I want to remind you of the video that I shared in my Discord, Adam Wainwright. Do not let your routine become a superstition. It's just a routine. Your life doesn't fall apart. You're not going to, not pitch well just because you didn't do every little thing a part of your routine. Don't treat it as such. It is a routine to get you warm and prepared to pitch in the game. And sometimes you might not be able to do everything that you want. But don't rely on it like you got to do it or the whole day's over. So that's my 2 cents on bullpen routines. If you have any questions, put them down below. Again, bear with me. I had the video up. Didn't know I was muted. Hopefully this one goes according to plan. I think we're good here. But I did want to remind you to, down in the description, the link to my pitching Discord will be down there. Also, if you want to support my channel, I know I'm not monetized right now, but there are ways. The first links, I think, down in the description are ways you can support my channel. If you want to help me make more and better content, I would appreciate that. It's not a must, but just throwing that out there. And then, of course, please like and subscribe. That is what's important to me right now. I want to make it so where I can continue to do these videos and then maybe give my lessons at a lower price or possibly free if you guys are watching my videos here on YouTube. So, with all that being said, if you learned anything today, like and subscribe. And if you have any feedback for me, I appreciate it. If you would, tell me some ideas. If there's a video I haven't made yet that you would like to see me make, put that down in the description as well. Or just contact me on any other social media. All my links for my social media will be down below as well. So, until the next stream, peace.